probably going live right now. So let's just keep an eye on our page. It says now live.
Yeah.
When you see it, you can go ahead and share it on your page. But I'm just now going to make sure we're live. Yeah, we seem to be live, yes.
I'm just trying to find out on here. Now that I'm live, I got you on my regular page. So I'm just trying to find out how to share it again.
It should be at the bottom there. Yeah, I'm going to go to my page here. Folks, we're going to be starting in just a minute while we get ourselves situated here. It's like, I always say, it's like, all right, let's see that we're live here. I'm going to turn, okay, I'm muted on my, do you see the shared? Let me know when you've shared it.
I did.
All right, cool. Sue, this is Melman says, yes, I'm here. Thank you. Claudette, hello, Claudette from Hawaii. So we've got some folks going on. We got about 16 folks already. That's good. So we're just not, all right, excellent. We're all set. Let me go ahead and introduce you. Greetings and welcome to Psychic Mediums Live, where we talk about all things spiritual and paranormal. I'm your host, Kevin Paul, psychic medium from Washington, D.C. And today my special guest is Paul Cozino, who is a psychic medium who lives in Montana. One of my followers actually recommended that have him on the show. So I checked him out on one of his live Facebook page shows and thought he would make an outstanding guest. Today, we're going to talk about his unique journey in becoming a psychic and medium. And if you have any questions for us, please place your questions in the comments section and we will get to them after our interview. So welcome, Paul, and thank you for being on my show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So where are you in Montana?
I'm in a little town called Laurel, Montana. It's next to Billings, Montana, if you're familiar with that. It's the biggest city in Montana.
Oh, okay.
This is a small town.
What are you doing in Montana?
I was born and raised here. I love it here.
I mean, it sounds like a very nice, you know, quiet place, mountains or snow or something like that. What's the weather like there in Montana?
We're not getting a lot of snow this winter, which is kind of really bad for, Montana. It's just been a really dry season. We used to get a lot of snow between December and now, but we haven't got much lately.
And we've had zero in Washington, D.C.
That's crazy.
Zero. So it's, I mean, what kind of a winter is this?
I don't know. I hope that we get some moisture soon.
I know. I mean, it's fun. This is winter time. We like snow around here. It kind of makes things feel more, special after all the craziness that we went through the last few weeks.
I agree.
So let's see here. Tell me about how you got started. What was your journey to becoming a psychic and medium?
It's a long story. I don't know how to even go over about it. When I was born, before I was born, I don't know how to explain it. When I was born, my mom would always tell me I was always looking up at something. Something was always entertaining me. I was always looking up in the sky. And as a little boy, I would always hear a voice in my inner ear, and it would always say, Paul, and it was a man's voice. And I looked around, and I knew at that age, even as a little kid, 4 or 5 years old, not to respond to it, because if I did, the people would thought I was nuts. So I kept quiet. Well, that voice kind of saved my life later on, because I was almost kidnapped 4 years later, and that voice said, Paul, run now. And I took off and I ran, and it saved my life. The voice, in its crazy story, the voice stopped, but I kept having other, things happen to me as a medium would, I think I was in my, I think 6 or 7 years ago, I was in, with my family in Spokane. We're at a water park, and I'm just sitting there I get off to get some sun, and the voice came back, and I never heard it since I was 9 years old that time when it saved my life. And it said, Paul, how have you been? And right then I knew at that very moment that my life from that moment on, I had to do something with this gift, and I had to do it soon. I had to find a way of doing it. And I took a spiritual development course, and that's what helped me to, I was already developed. My teacher would get frustrated and should say, it took me 20-something years to get to this development, and you have it. And I just basically, I wanted just to be certified in it, to understand it, to understand what my gift was, so I can help other people.
What is your gift? I always say from the classic clairs, clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. What is your primary clair? How do you gather information? Well, obviously you're clairaudient because you definitely have heard stuff.
Yeah, it's all around me. I get the taste, I get the visions, I get the voices, I get all the time. Especially once I start getting into it. So as you know, there's different kinds of mediumship. So what I got is called trance mediumship, and it's and when I start going into that, then that's when it goes into the mental mediumship.
So you're talking about trance, trance, right?
Yes, trance mediumship.
So where you're actually inspired by or having another spirit come through you and using your voice. Is that what you mean?
So what I do is you'll see me scribbling. I'm just trying to see if I can find a notebook to show you basically how it's done.
I know you scribble. I've seen you scribbling. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of the scribbling.
So it's just little gibberish scribbling, just to probably give your mind something to occupy.
It just keeps my mind focused, and it keeps me grounded, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the scribbling stops, that's when usually that's when the message stops.
And when you get the message, are you feeling it? Are you hearing it? Are you sensing it? How do you gather that information?
So once I start going with that and I start connecting with the spirit, that's how I feel like I connect with the spirit. I'll just keep asking the spirit the name to come through, and he or she will come through. And at that moment, they'll be showing me visions. And that's at the same time, I can see what they look like. I can see their hair color. I can see what they're wearing. I can see what's behind them a lot of times. And when I'm doing that, I give that as validation to the reader, and that helps them to know that's who I'm connecting with.
Mm-hmm. Doing the description. I know when I'm doing it, I don't scribble. I may have to try scribbling to see if that, I will get a sense of clairvoyance. I'll get an image of, mostly a basic image, because I don't really get a full visual like I could take, like a photograph. I will sense and feel them, and I can sense and feel whether they're female or male, where they're mother, father, whatever, and when they come forward. And then I get a sense of their personality by feeling their personality.
Yes, I do that too.
And
yeah, and I'll tell people, like, sometimes some males don't like to talk, and I tell them, I feel like I'm pulling teeth because I have to ask all these questions, to get more validation. And then they'll say, well, my dad was kind of shy, or he just didn't like to talk. And that's how I'm getting at that moment. It's like, I don't feel like I want to talk. So I have to express that to the reader, and then they validate it for me.
That's the same way for me. Sometimes these people are very chatty or high energy, and sometimes they're...
Yeah, my pen will fly off my page a few times if somebody's got really a lot of energy. That's crazy.
Yeah, don't you get hyped up? I get so hyped up sometimes. It's like I have to calm down so I can move on to the next spirit or the next reading. And it's just like, wow, yeah. your friend Betty got me going, and I'm just trying to release her.
But then you get your psychic vampires too that just want to take more and more energy, a little bit more.
What do you tell me about the psychic vampires? You're talking about the living or the spirit?
Well, this is how I would say it. It's by spirit mostly. It's just, when we're connecting with the spirit, we're exchanging energy, and that's what kind of drains you at sometimes. Some spirits will drain me more than others. Right.
And why do they drain you? Is it because of their energy level?
I think so. It's just their energy level, and we're just exchanging it. When I'm doing, there's times where if I'm doing readings all day, Thursdays are my really busy day because I go to the radio station, I volunteer readings, and then I go from there and I go to a bookstore and I do readings from 12 until 5 o'clock. And then I go home and then I have 3 or 4 more phone readings to go. And yeah, it gets pretty draining.
And even during COVID times, you're able to do all that?
I am, yeah. I'm always keeping my distance and everything, but it's all safe.
Do you guys have to be masked in Montana?
Yes. I think the government, I think the governor relaxed some of that, but I'm always still cautious. I'm still wearing it. I'm always, keeping my distance.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I do all of mine via phone.
Hmm.
I'm sure, that's like I tell people, this work transcends time and space. I mean, it's nice to be in front of somebody, but
Hmm.
you don't need to. You don't need
Exactly.
to at
And I'll
all.
tell people that too. It's the same as it is on the phone as it is in person.
I agree. And I kind of, it's almost better because then I can, I can when I'll look down, I'll be looking down. I just really can't like look somebody in the eye and give a reading because I'm always being distracted and looking past and getting a sense of who it is. So I'm not always able to look them in the eye. So being phone is very simple. And sometimes I'm a walker. I'll walk around. You sit in one location and scribble. That's your way of kind of.
Yeah, it's just like it just gets me going. It helps me, I guess, what you want to call it, the partial trance. It just gets me right through it, and then I'm able to go, and that's how I go.
Hmm. And how long are your readings normally when you're like when you're doing your Facebook Live readings? They're pretty quick, right?
Hmm. And I think those spirits on the other side, I think they know that, obviously they know I'm doing free readings, and I think they're just trying to be more help. I mean, they know it's time for another one, so they're not like taking up all the time. I think always wondered that because it just seems like they know, what to say, and then they got to go.
It's
Because I
because
never asked them over there. I'm on a free reading. You got to make it quick. I think they just know.
because your intention is like you put it out there to them. Okay, folks, line up. It's gonna be quick. Don't get
Yeah.
the information. Yeah, I always find the intention is like they listen and they know because you're like, this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is what I expect, and they're all like, okay, this is it, brah. And here's your note. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It really is amazing stuff. Now, tell me about your training because we all have gifts, just like any like an
Mhm.
athlete. I always say we all have a certain amount of gifts, and some are much stronger than others. How did you develop? Because I always tell people it's important to get some development and to get some training to understand and get coached. How did you and where did you go get your training and coaching?
So for me, when I was a kid, all the way through a lot of my adulthood, I was always being haunted by things. I saw things I couldn't explain. I've seen the good and the bad, and I didn't. I learned in a way to either ignore it or to just not really deal with it too much. But to me, I thought it was normal. So I started telling my friends about it, and I learned not to because I thought it was nuts. So I kept quiet about it.
Right.
But when I did take that training, it's I'm sure I was already what do you call it, developed, but I needed the understanding, the knowledge of it. I needed to know where I was going to go with it. I needed to understand certain things that I didn't know before. There's a lot of people, as we know, that are fakes, wannabes, and and hard, just
Right.
people that will scam people. And that course, just it just made it out there, and it made sense to me. It just kind of keeps us separate from the other people. Does that make
Exactly.
sense?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've taken classes here in the U.S., but the best training I have found in the world is in London, right outside of London, called the Arthur Findlay College. That's what we call Hogwarts. That's like the best, most amazing place. You should check it out if you haven't. And you go there for the entire week. You live in the mansion. It looks like Downton Abbey, and you live there. You have your meals there, and your teachers who are all British. Are there because the British have an amazing tradition of doing mediumship in public as well in front of people, and that is where I valued my best training is from that, where they actually get you to stand up in front of a class, in front of a group of people and do it, and then do one-on-ones, and sometimes put a blindfold on and do it. So it's really a great training program, and I really got so much out of it.
And it's really interesting. When I was taking that course, I kept getting visions that I was going to be doing events, like there's to be a crowd of people in front of me. And I finally broke out and I started doing that. And I would get, and before this COVID started coming through, I was traveling around Montana. And once a month I would do one in Billings, Montana. And it always always be between 12 and 15 people. And I would just go and I'd be like, just doing the reading for them.
Yeah, that's what they train at the British school, doing it in front of people. And it's
Mhm.
definitely different doing it in front of people because you got to be able to identify where you're going, and you have three people who can take some of the evidence, and you have to kind of narrow it down. It's really a good way to train. Let me
It's
tell you.
interesting.
It's amazing. So check out Arthur Findlay College. I mean, they're kind of like closed down for COVID, but that I think is like the Harvard of all,
That's good that they
spirit.
have like a course for that as well.
Oh, they do. They have, yeah, this is all advanced stuff. These people
Mhm.
have been doing it for over 100 years, it seems
Wow.
like. So they're good. And their world is from a spiritualist religion, rather than the traditional, Roman Catholic or Protestant. So they're definitely the spiritualists, and there's a big community of spiritualist churches in England. And
That's where I got my training from, was the spiritual. It's from the spiritual enlightenment. It was based in New York City.
hmm
Yeah, it's from all the spiritualist movement.
Right. Yeah, the spiritualist
Mhm.
movement from New York, long time ago. Yeah, this is they got it from there, as they got it from America, and then have developed it, and have really taken off. It's really amazing stuff there.
It's
So you
interesting.
got your training in the course in I guess in New York, right?
No, it was based in New York. I got my training from in Billings, Montana. It was a long course though. I think it
Oh,
was a 8 or 9 month course.
yeah, intensity. And people think, oh, you've got gifts, you can be. No, folks, we have to practice. We got to make the mistakes. We've got to figure out what these images mean in our head. It does take, and people don't realize the work that we have to put in to be able to do this. And you do have to have that, natural ability. And then did you find when you do it, your other abilities kind of got stronger, or you
Oh
were
yeah, definitely.
so did
You
I.
know, there's different kinds of mediumship out there, as you know. And
hmm
the third one, besides the mental and the trance mediumship I have, every once in a while, the physical mediumship will kick in when there's a spirit that's trying to show me how they died, or show me, a sickness or something. And that's something I'm still trying to get used to as it comes. I'm open to it. Once in a while you get the sleeping mediumship where they come to visit you in your sleep too.
All
And
right.
they visit you trying to bother you to cross over at night. But yeah,
So your
um,
physical mediumship, you're talking about actually feeling what they went through?
yeah, there's
Yeah.
been like one story I did for, I was doing I call it my medium reading event where there's like 12, 15 people. And I was connecting to this lady's, I think it was her dad. And I just kept feeling like I kept wanting, like something kept slamming me in the head. And I looked at her and I go, I'm like, I didn't ask her at the moment how he died. I said, I feel like I'm being slammed in the head and he won't let me stop. And it's really quick and it hurts for a minute, but it's gone. And her eyes got really teary and she goes, he shot himself in the head. So, they'll keep doing that until I'll either tell them to stop or try to ask them more questions of spirit to
Like,
find out what happened.
a story that I had, when I was communicating with this woman's grandmother, I was getting some details and some evidence of who she was, because I was like to provide evidential, like, this is the evidence, this is who they are, this is their personality, so that that person knows I'm not just making something up. So that, yeah, you definitely got her. You got her personality. You've got what she liked to do. This is something you all that you all did together. And then I asked her, I said, tell me how you passed. It's always part of the evidence. And she
Mhm.
said to me, my head was on fire. And I said, okay, what am I going to do with that one? So I said, I know how I got it. It's accurate. And so I told the woman, I said, it was kind of weird, but she said, my head was on fire when I asked her about her death. She said, oh my God, you've got my grandmother. I said, please explain. She says, well, she was shot in the head by the Mexican cartel. And I said, that
Wow.
was a very elegant way of communicating to me, because to them it would have been like my head was on fire, boom. And then she passed. And I have gotten concussions, like I feel like there's a concussion to my head when this woman who was in a car and she was hit by a train. So I didn't feel like I was actually, but I just feel this kind of gentle pressure of like concussion. So that's a bit of physical, but I don't want to, feel the actual pain. But I do
And I
get,
don't think the spirits are trying to show you pain. Yeah, I think they're just trying to show you that, like the story. I remember one time I did a reading and some lady, she got choked out. Like her boyfriend like was strangling her. Well, and I could feel it, like I was being choked out. Well, it took over a month for me to get rid of that pain. It was like a sore throat, but it wasn't a sore throat.
really.
It felt like somebody really was trying to grab my neck. And Yeah, and I think, stuff like that is being, the physical mediumship. I think you have to be prepared for that, and just know that they're going to try whatever they're doing to let you know. And sometimes some of that stuff might last a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's
That was the worst one for me, I think.
yeah, that would be kind of weird. It's like, why do you need to be hanging on to that for a while?
Yeah.
That's no fun. Yeah. Thank goodness I haven't had that lingering stuff, but I will get some sensations, but it's just a gentle, subtle sensation rather than like, bam, I'm sorry, folks, I was just in an automobile accident. I'll get a sense of a quick passing and I'll get automobile and then I'll maybe get a pressure or a quick or whatever.
Yeah, like a really quick pain or something. But the breathing with me when I'm doing reading, I just feel like my air, like the air is going away, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, they couldn't breathe anymore. And they're like, oh yeah, they couldn't breathe, and I just find that stuff interesting because it just validates to me what the spirit was trying to show them.
Right. So you've worked with evidential mediumship, right? You provide the evidence and work towards getting the message, right? Is that how you work? Same
Yeah,
way.
and if you're a really good medium, that's most of the work. So we're the ones asking certain questions to get the validation out for the reader.
Right.
Like when I'm seeing them, like through my vision, I'm seeing what they're looking like I said earlier. And then it goes from there. And then some people will say, you talk just like my loved one, or you're saying exactly what they would say. And I don't realize I'm doing it as it's coming through me.
I know I've done that too, where I'm actually I'm giving the reading and I'm actually like, why am I digging? Well, this person was, somebody who liked to be in the garden or whatever. And I know it's amazing how when we really get into it, like they say, we make that connection, we blend with the spirit. And that's really when, you're really, connected with that energy. And that's amazing. That's really amazing. And I always tell folks, we're in a healing ministry, what we do. And our job is to ultimately bring them a reunion, kind of bring them a little mini reunion and then see what kind of a message we've got. That's always been my purpose.
And it's a great way to validate there's life after death. And, there's people always come to me, I'm sure with you too, when they're in deep mourning, like right after somebody dies, and I have to explain to them, like, I can't do this for a while, at least around close to 30 days. And have to explain the reason why with them. But I said, come back to me if you're still feeling this way, and we'll see what we can do. But that's part of like the healing part, is just to talk to them and know that they're okay.
Right. Now tell me about your religious background and how it's kind of fits into,
that works for me.
Yeah, because I'm Roman. My background is, the Christian faith, Roman Catholic liturgy and tradition, and so on and so forth.
That's me too.
And it's almost like I have to kind of like, okay, because they're not together, they don't blend together, they don't like what we do, even though we're in the Bible. And I did a show on the Witch of Endor, which is a psychic medium in the Bible. But we can talk to God, but we certainly can't talk to Grandma. What do you think about all of that?
Well, I'm also Roman Catholic, and I think it's interesting because they teach us as we're growing in the church that to connect with the saints. Well, saints are dead. People connect with them to get stuff like help answer their prayers. It's like going to somebody. It's like kind of like going to the vice president for the president for a favor. So you're just kind of working your way up. Right. But it's the same thing. They're dead, and you learn it, and that's how people connect with them. There's a part of that Bible I question, because I always tell people, man wrote the Bible, and then there's God laws. And if we can't figure out what's the differences, then you're going to be stuck, And I tell them there's a part in the Bible that talks about mediumship and psychic abilities. And it's the word that they use is whoring in there. And I go, that's something that God wouldn't use. That's a man, that's man, again, it's man laws. Exactly. God doesn't use that word.
Yeah, and I noticed that you were wearing a rose, a medal, or a crucifix, and
yeah, I always wear a crucifix, but then I also wear like a Saint Benedict medal with it.
Oh, Saint Benedict!
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah, I went to a Benedictine monastery for a week as a retreat. Amazing! I love the Benedictines.
There was a time in my life where I was almost wanting to become a Catholic priest. My faith with God, my path, it's just crazy, but I guess this is where God wanted me instead of being a priest. So this is where I'm at.
Now, what made you get off of that trajectory? Go from
My mom, she was pretty good. She was a Catholic, but she brought us to all these different churches. I went to different like Presbyterian churches, Pentecostal. She just wanted us as kids to get to choose what we wanted to.
Right.
And for me at the time, I walked in the church and it was just for me. I fell in love with the mystery of it. To me, it just felt this is where I needed to be. I know all faith, all God's religions all lead to Him, and we all worship Him differently. But that's what worked for me. And from then on, I just kind of went with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to go through my whole, transition of thinking, okay, how does this all work together? And, I started studying this back in the late 80s and in a spiritualist church and going, whoa, what's going on? Spiritual development. And then,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how I fit into the whole thing and where does what I do fit in. And so it takes a while for us to get, to a place where we're comfortable. And then we start understanding and figuring out how we can work together with it.
But mediumship is not easy because when you want to become a real good medium a good one, you have to just come out with it. You have to come out of the closet with it. You have to just
exactly like what we're doing right now. We're like, we're here.
Exactly. Yeah. And it scares people because they're just afraid of always being judged. And I'll tell people all the time, I'm getting judged all the time. I mean, by the religious people, by the, people that always think in their heads about, how things should be working. And that according to them, I'm a fake, I'm a scammer, and I'm this and I'm that. And I'm always getting judged, but you have to get used to it.
I know. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's kind of, it's like, who wants to be, doubted, like we really put the work in. We know the work that we do is true and is real because
it's validation.
We're doing it, we're getting validation. And then for someone to say something, nasty, like, oh God, but we are in the public, we have to be aware that that's going to happen. And it's never fun, is it? When the people are attacking us, I'm like, I'm like, it's very aggravating, but it's true. We had to come out to be public and do what we do and to be honest and authentic with ourselves. Don't
exactly.
you agree? I do love when you were doing your event that when you say, if I pick you, pay it back and do something nice for someone this week. I think I've never heard anyone say that before.
You see so much stuff on social media and on the news, just the doom and gloom, and everybody's all feeding into it, and everybody's worried. It's
Right.
And that whole energy out here is, everybody's afraid that the world's coming to an end, and everybody's believing all this stuff, and they're coming to me with all these questions, and I don't have. I'll tell them, I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you what I know. I just want people just to try to do something good for somebody once in a while, and you'll feel much better about it. That's what we're here for. And I'll tell people, my mediumship gift was never for me. It was always for them. That was always my philosophy. And that grounds me and it keeps me humble. And there's a lot of truth to that for me because it was never for me. It was always for those guys. That's what it was for.
That's what I picked up when I watched you, is how humble that you go into this mediumship work. And that's what I think is, I tell people, it's like, I'm very humbled by the gifts that we are given and the work that we do in this ministry of healing. But so I really picked up on, your humbleness, and I thought that was it was very refreshing. It was like, wow, it's nice to see. It's nice to see. I mean, you're from Montana. I mean, I don't know anybody from Montana besides you now. And your sincerity, it's really nice. It was really nice to see when I jumped on to what is it, your Sunday show? Is it a Sunday?
Oh yeah. So Sundays on Sundays I do free readings. It's my way of giving back because Spirit always finds a way of giving back to me, even when I'm not even asking. Right. And when it happens, I'm always saying thank you. So right. I find that I just love that stuff. When it comes back to me, I just know that I have to give it back.
I do the same thing. Thursdays are my, free reading day. People go to my website, kevinpaulpsychicmedium.com, and they can go and find the free reading section. I'm like, yeah, that's on Thursday. That's my way of giving back to people because I think it's important.
And it's part of being a real true medium. And that's what it is. Like even on tomorrow mornings, I do free readings over the radio. And I don't ever expect anything, like I said earlier, but Spirit keeps me going. I worked at a youth detention jail for 19 and a half years. My degree is in criminal justice. And
Wow.
so spirit kind of pushed me out of that. And now, and I was afraid, but I had to learn to do this on my own. And spirit just kind of showed me how to do it. And then I started going with it. And this is what I do full time.
Good for you. I mean, I do it part-time. I'm a massage therapist by day, and I do this part-time just to enrich my life and keep me going, because ultimately I'd like to transition, you know, when I get to retirement age, because I won't be able to physically do it, massage, but I definitely want, but I'm doing more and more because I enjoy teaching. I love to teach. I basically call it elementary school for psychic and mediums, you know, getting people the base. And I love teaching. I call it the Academy of Real Magic, MAGICK, because, you know, everyone, and I wish I had some real good one-on-one coaching when I was developing, because, you know, there's so much out there. So I love to teach, and that's my way of kind of helping give back.
That's good, because we need more people that can do that to heal other people. There's not many good ones out there that can do that.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, besides, I mean, you do readings, and you do it at the radio as well. How do you do it over the radio? Are you at home, or do you go to the radio station?
Well, I go to the radio station. I've been to that radio station for 3 years now. I think over 3 years now. You know, they usually there was different radio stations up there, and then used to be calling in, and I would do it that way. So they moved me to the other radio station, which they would just have people come in, and it goes live like this, and then I would do a reading for them. And
over the phone or in person?
In person, they'd come up to the radio station, and then it would be videotaped like this.
Oh, okay. So it's actually in person. They don't have callers calling in over the phone?
It used to be that way in the same building down the hall. I used to to that radio station, but they moved me to this one. So I think they need ratings. I don't know. So I didn't complain. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's good promo for you, and a nice way to kind of introduce mediumship to the world in your universe.
Do you find it interesting that there's I posted something on my page one time about how you get more females wanting readings than you do males? I think that's interesting. And the same as when we're doing this kind of work, mediums, I find there's more females than there are males. But I'm noticing there's the trend, more males coming through doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's kind of nice to have, you know, boys' night here on my show, where it's just two guys, you know, two psychic mediums who are males, because most of, you know, I see a lot of women who've been doing it, and now a lot more men are starting to pop in there. So I think it's kind of cool. We bring a different energy, I think, to the work, and it's always nice to see other guys out there doing the work that we do. It's definitely, you know, amazing opportunity for us to kind of touch base with people and maybe make other people feel comfortable. Guys feel probably more comfortable talking to another guy if they're doing some mediumship work. But it's definitely women. Like a lot of women are on my page, and
mine too. And it's like there's a thing that you can go on your page to tell you how like percentage of the males and females. And I posted on my page, and it said like 90% were females and the 10% were males. I find that interesting.
Folks who are listening, why do you all think that's true? That's a good question. We'll find out in a second. Now I have a question for you here. Do you think some spirits cross over and some do not?
Absolutely.
And why? And where are they? Explain that about, you know, spirits who have moved on or those who have not moved on. Talk about that.
From my experience, it's you know, I can, like when I'm doing my scribbling and I can connect with somebody and I can feel that energy and it's pulling through and I can feel it. But then if I'm doing that scribbling and all of a sudden my pen goes like in a big circular motion for me and I start getting that void, what I'll do then is I'll connect with my spirit guide and ask where that spirit is. And then the spirit will tell me that spirit didn't cross over for a certain reason. Now, some people don't cross over for many reasons. Like there's some, you know, don't cross over because they're just stuck. I find that when people are doing drinking and drugs and alcohol when they're driving and they get in car accidents, a lot of times they get stuck. And I'm wondering a lot. My reading told me something about they kind of get stuck in a death state. They're kind of traumatized. Like if they were be alive, and they're just kind of roaming around. They need help to cross over. They don't know where they're at. That's what I got pretty much with that part. You get people who tragic things happen to them, like murders. People want revenge, just want, I don't know if it's revenge or just want justice because somebody murdered them.
Unfinished business sometimes.
Yes.
Like I need to stick around because I've been caring for this person, and I don't want to abandon them, or I've got some unfinished business to do because I don't like so and so, or I'm trying to get revenge. I kind of get that sense of that when I've done.
And some of them also get attached to houses and objects and people.
Yeah.
Just don't cross over.
Do you do paranormal investigations like I do, where you will go into a space and evaluate the energy?
I'm kind of I don't think those people like me too much because I'm too much of an empath, and I feel sorry. I mean, I just feel for those spirits, and I want to cross them over. And those people that are doing those tours and they invite me, and I'm over there trying to cross somebody over, they don't like it. But then I get upset with those tour people. I'm like, these people are not, I mean, they're still people, they're not zoo animals. If they want, I'm asking if they want to cross over, but they have their free will. If they don't want to, I'm going to be okay with that. See, that's me though, because I just feel for that, and like, you got to help you out.
Right. You talking about the ghost tours, or people take you around historic homes, or are you talking about when you go in and that you find a couple of spirits hanging out?
Usually like ghost tours, and sometimes I'm from a town. It's called Butte, Montana, and it's very haunted. It's kind of a hill, and the more you go up the hill, the more intense it gets with spiritual stuff. And every time I'm doing house readings when I'm in that town, I'm always crossing spirits over all the time. And it's just, and a lot of them just want, they're begging me. I don't know if it's happened with you, but the majority of them want to cross over. Oh yeah. But there's been a few that that don't want to. They're just not good people, or they're attached to houses. Right. And and I have to respect that because that's their free will, and I can't force them.
I feel it's very simple to cross them over once you've made connection, and it's like you give them permission. And I always tell them, here's your assignment. Go call for your family and your loved ones. It's almost like giving them permission. Like, it just seems like, I don't know. It seems fairly simple to do once you make a connection and you feel like they want to move on. How about you?
What I like to do is I like to have people with me when I do it, just because there's that energy of that person that's dead. You can feel it in the house, and I'll say right when that person crosses over, you're gonna feel like it's clear, and you're gonna feel it. And I get people that get emotional during that time because they're just, I don't, maybe it's a lot for them. But I explain to them, I'm doing this so that you understand that there is life after death. I'm not doing any magic here. I'm just bringing that spirit back home and helping him or her.
Right. And that spirit can come back and visit you, at a different vibration when, reading happens. But they're in a different vibration. They're in heaven. They've crossed whatever one wants to say. They can still come back and be a guide once in a while, or come in and talk through a medium to give you some advice or some love or a hug, or say that they're proud of you, or I'm so sorry, I need to apologize. So it's like it is fascinating. They think, we got to move them on, but they can still come back. That's what I've found.
It's very true. They do come back and visit.
What's your most interesting reading? Like, what's your go-to? Like, someone's like, tell me about this. Your best.
I get so many people ask me that, and I do so many readings in a week, and there's always something crazy in a reading. They're never the same. Right. It's hard for me to go back and think of that, because I have to really think hard about what was the most craziest reading I've had.
Same for me.
Boy, it's hard to say. It's just so. It's what keeps me going. Yeah, every one of them is different, and that's another thing that keeps me going, because it's different stories, and different. And nothing's ever the same with any of them. And what gets me is when, at the same moment, the spirit is telling me something, and then the person I'm reading for tells me the exact same thing. I literally jump out of the seat. That's what gets me. And the person's looking at me, the reader's looking at me like I'm weird. And I go, you don't know it's hard for me to explain that to you, because when I'm hearing that person telling me on this side, and you're telling me something exactly the same thing, that's huge validation for me. But you probably wouldn't understand that. But for me, that's big. And it's just a weird connection, and that gets me every time.
It's yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Every story is different because everyone is different. Everyone's life, they have lived their life differently, and it's truly amazing to see.
You know, I do have one story. I just thinking about this.
Sure.
I went back to my hometown Butte, and this lady, she lost her son, and he was dealing with his own personal crisis because he was gay and he wasn't accepted in his high school. And I think he was just having some issues with dating people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I walked in there, I just keep seeing these little rainbows around, and I'm looking around. I'm like, where's this like little? I'm looking for anything that's putting it like a little prism or something that's going through the light to the crystal. Right. I can find it. Well, the mom's getting all excited, and she goes, "It's him! It's him!" Well, even as a medium, I'm still skeptic until I start getting into stuff.
Me too. Always be skeptical.
I'm very skeptic. So when I started doing my readings, I connect with him, and the first thing he said is, "I come to you in rainbows and hearts." Well, she's getting all excited, and well, later on in the reading, one of the rainbows on my arm, was just kind of going this way, and was kind of floating on my arm. It turned into a heart, and I go, "Oh my God!" And it stood there for a long time. And I said, "Take a picture of that." And she took a picture of it, and I go, how do you explain that rainbow turning into a heart? That was a perfectly shaped heart on my arm, and it was for his mom. And I said, that was just for you. But that's just huge validation right there after he told me that.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I
love those kind of stories where they can, it's so heartwarming and stuff like that. I'm hoping to write books one day on a lot of my experiences and stuff like this.
I'm sure you could. This work that we do with so many experiences, probably the most interesting is when I've had two parents come in with apologies for their son. And the mother was definitely apologetic for probably the lack of emotional support and love. So she felt guilty there. And when the father came in at the same time, the guy who I was reading for, he's like, well, why is he here? I'm like, well, I don't know. Let's go figure out why. So I got some evidence of who he was. Yes, that's definitely my father. And he was like upset that his father had come through, because I say, you never know who's going to come through. Sometimes people you want and expect, sometimes people you don't expect. Mm-hmm. And his father came through with an apology, but not as sincere as his mother, because he was physically abusive to this man when he was a small child. So it was interesting to get these two parents coming to provide an apology. One more sincere than the other, it seemed like, but it was fascinating. And I just felt really bad for that person.
And I get those all the time where the parent was either neglectful, narcissistic, abusive, right, or just treated one kid better than the other. And they always come through, and the first thing they say is, "I'm sorry, I could have been a better parent. I'm sorry. I'm clearing out of the addiction. I'm doing better now. I'm so sorry." But when they're in heaven, they don't lie. So they have no other choice but to tell the truth, and they own up to it. And I find that really amazing. It's like, now tell the reader, where he or she is, they have to tell the truth. They're not lying. It's they're being real.
It's very honest. I get very honest information as well. And it's just like, whoa, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's see who's got some questions for us, because I know there's some people out there who've got some questions. Let me see here. Wow, let's see here. I'm going to start. Wait a minute. Facebook, it's always fun. Do people stay angry once they've passed? Helen wants to know.
Is that for me or for you?
For you.
My experience is, when a spirit crosses over, they're not angry. We're the ones holding that down on us. We're the ones beating ourselves up. We're the ones not forgiving ourselves. We're the ones, holding on to that pain. And I get that so much from the spirits all the time. And they're saying, please let it go, forgive yourself. And it's always the same. And we have to learn to let go. And it's hard for some of us to let that go. They don't stay angry.
Right. I find that when they come across they're just giving me evidence that when they were alive, they were kind of an angry person. Not that they're angry now, but they're just giving me evidence so that this person knows that I've got, Tommy, who was really quite the angry man when he was alive. But he was just that I would get the anger in the reading just as evidence. This is who I was when I was alive. Of course, that's not who I am now. but that's how you'll recognize me. Because if I said Tommy was a lovely man, he's very, I'm like, no, that's not Tommy. He was an angry SOB. So that's the way I get it. And I say, well, they're
Because in heaven, yeah, because where they're at in that higher realm or the higher vibration of heaven, they don't have that that negativity up there. They don't bring that with them. So when we're connecting with them, all we're getting is the positives that we know about. You know, we can ask about the negative, or the reader can, and I'll ask them, and then they'll, you know, they're real, and they'll tell you about what happened.
right.
Their spirit.
Tina from London says, do you both talk to people that have passed? Sorry, I missed. Yes, we talk to the dead, or we talk to spirits, and spirits talk to us.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Someone says, he says, beautiful. I think smudging clears home of negativity. Ivories, not your past loved ones. Oh, she's talking about smudging, when you're cleansing a home. Using smudge clears your home of negative energy, basically, rather than, you know, clearing your loved ones, getting rid of your loved ones. That's what I
agree.
I would agree too. Because, you know, residual energy is the energy that resides in that space, in that home, and the ritualizing of cleansing, you know, your intention, the ritual of sage or whatever you'd like to use to smudge, is part of you kind of cleansing. You have got that power with your intention, and then you add some ritual to it. You've really got to.
Yep.
Words.
Just like with the St. Benedict medal, I know it's powerful, but it's got that intention that I know is protecting me, that I keep it on my window seals. You know, when you're a medium, you know, you don't know what's going to be crawling in your windows in the middle of the night. You don't know what's going to be happening. I've had that stuff all my entire life, but now I have my own house. I know how to protect myself from having too much crazy going on anymore like I used to.
Right. Yeah. I make sure that, you know, my room is sacred. They know they're not allowed in. And if they are, we kick them out. Let's see. Let's see. We got some questions down here. Though, Olga says, what is my husband trying to tell me when he comes to me in my dreams very often? He passed 3 years ago. And I say the dream state is the easiest state for spirits to communicate with people who are not sensitive or psychic mediums. That's the easiest way for them to communicate. If it's a vivid dream, then in fact, you know, I think that's more like true that you've actually got a visitation. So they're coming through the dreams because it's the easiest and quickest way for them to make contact. Don't you agree?
Totally. And I find it interesting because when they're coming through, sometimes they're not saying anything. And people will say, well, my loved one, my husband or my son didn't say anything. They're just smiling. And I go, that's the best thing, because that tells you right there that they're at peace, that they don't need to say anything. Because I've had people say, well, my cousin came to me in a dream and it doesn't sound right. And so when I connect with the cousin, it rhymes with the person, you know, with the person thought he said. And then she'll say, oh, okay, it makes sense now. And that's, I think, the reason why spirits don't say much, because we might interpret it wrong. And I also find it interesting, like a lot of these, I call them visitations, because that's what they are. They're more visits than they are dreams. And they always seem to happen as we wake up in the morning. Nightmares are always in the middle of the night. Dreams are kind of in the midnight, but, you know, sometime during the night, the early morning. But these kind of visits always seem to happen right before we wake up in the morning.
Yeah, visitate. You don't have, I mean, just the presence, a smile. How do you feel when you see them? They don't have to say, hi, how you doing? I always tell people, how did you feel when you saw them? You know, that emotion, because that's communication. That's clairsentience, be able to feel them with emotion. I say, how did you feel? You didn't have to say anything. How did you feel? Did you feel love? Did you feel like, you know, that speaks volumes, how you feel. Let's see. Do you, Ronnie Sue Arca Baker says, do you both believe in reincarnation?
I have a story on that one. When I was a kid, I'd go outside and be drawing swastikas. I didn't understand what that meant, with chalk, you know, with chalk on the sidewalk. Well, my mom would get so upset with me. Well, I kept having this reoccurring dream as a kid where there was me and another little boy, and it could have been a brother in the past life, but then there was a man with a rifle, and I heard a boom. Well, then he pointed at me and I woke up, and it was reoccurring all the time. Well, as time went on, I hit junior high, and that's when you have the history books. And I was flipping through the history books, and when I saw what I saw was that's those kind of men, those soldiers with the swastika band, and it just blew my mind. I couldn't figure it out. Like, what happened? why did I experience that? I always questioned that. And as I got older, it would make more sense to me.
Yeah, reincarnation is fascinating for me. And I always people like, okay, if I remember and I get a sense of certain eras, like for me, the American Civil War is pretty powerful, and I have this connection with it. But it's like, what am I going to do with that? It's like I'm living my life now. That's what's important. It is interesting. I don't know how it affects me now. Maybe it makes me a bit more sensitive about, interactions or fighting, and that's why I'm a bit more of a peacemaker. But it's like I say, it's good stuff, it's interesting, but I'm living my life now, and so I've got to figure out what my path is now.
Absolutely.
Don't get caught up that you were the Queen of Sheba, because 3,000 other people were told they were Queen of Sheba. So
yeah, Cleopatra too.
Oh, Cleopatra, yeah. So many Cleopatras out there. It's like, how is that possible? Let's just see here. Wonder if we can connect with loved ones who have been reincarnated. Like if they're alive, what do you think about that?
But I think, the people that we have in our lives right now, our spirit, our soulmates, our family members.
Right.
I did a reading on that one time, and my reading told me that when we die, we're in heaven for a while, and we wait for all our family members to go to meet up with each other. Now, understand there's no time limit in heaven, so it's time. Our time and their time is different.
Totally.
It's God's perfect timing when He decides to bring people back, and a lot of times, it could be a soulmate. You keep running into your soulmates all the time. Soulmates seem to happen by accident. And then some of my readings will tell me, well, your sister was actually your mom. In fact, I had a reading like that yesterday. And the sister was always trying to protect her little sister from what was going on in the family. And the girl the reader was telling me, as a girl, I always wondered that. And her sister said, we had past lives. I was your mom in another life. I always felt I had to take all this for you and keep you stable so that you can be where you're at. So we're all connected, and we keep coming back. Some of us, not all of us.
Jacqueline asks, "Hi, Paul. What do spirits do all day? What are they wearing? What do they watch? What do they do?"
I get that all the time. When I do readings, when I'm describing like a loved one to somebody, there's times where people will be like, "Oh no, I don't think he would wear that or she would wear that." And I go, well, what do you mean? Well, they weren't buried in those clothes. And I laugh and I go, would you want to be wearing the same clothes in heaven, being buried in those clothes? I don't think so in heaven. I think you get to wear what you want to wear in heaven. But I've asked about that. Like, what do you guys do in heaven? And a lot of times they're just exploring, they're meeting new people, they're trying new things. Some of them are actually working up there. And when they tell me they're working, it's like fun. It's not like it's hard work. And you can go anywhere. You think of something and you're going to be right there. You want something, it's right there. And I was told that their reality is more stronger than our reality, which I find is really interesting. There's no physics up there, by the way.
There's no physics?
Our physics are like everything is kind of laid out for us.
It's all different.
Yes.
Let's see. Someone says you've had over 400 past lives, Paul. This is Dustin.
I did. I wonder if that was one of my people I told that to. I had over 400 lives. That is honestly the truth. And that's so funny somebody brought that up. So I asked my spirit guide one time, I go, what was I? And my pen started going, and I had to finally put it down because my hand was getting hurt, like getting sore from writing so much. But I was a baker, carpenter. I had all these jobs. I was just like a normal guy with all these jobs. And I wonder, like, why did I keep coming back? And then the spirit guide said, you wanted to keep coming back because you wanted to keep helping people. Right. Some of it, you had things that you had to learn, but a lot of times you just wanted to keep helping people.
Right. Sure. Good stuff. Cindy asks, how do you know if you have psychic abilities? I've always have thoughts and they've come true. Thank you. And Cindy, what I do is I do an abilities consultation for folks. I love to be able to help people understand their natural psychic abilities. And yeah, it's like, sounds like she is definitely an intuitive, but I love, she's definitely connected. I love educating people on their natural abilities. I call it your magical abilities. I love abilities consultations. Let's see here. Who else? I love to smudge. I've been doing it for years and long. You know, it's part of your ritual, the power, your intention. It makes
Mhm.
it super powerful. Yes, because they have souls too. We've done that one. My family doesn't, all right, this is Becky. My family doesn't even come to me in my dreams or when I'm awake. Why don't they? I'm begging and hoping and praying for them to come to me. So why isn't her family coming to her?
What I find is there's a lot, sometimes it's trauma with that person. Something happened, sometimes it could have been something happened in past relationships or childhood trauma. And when that happens, we keep a wall up. And
Mhm.
subconsciously we're not allowing things to come through.
Ah,
Other times, I've found that just mourning, if you're still mourning over one person or somebody in that family, that you still kind of keep that wall up. And when it's almost like we have to work on ourselves in order for that to have these things come to us. Don't you? Do you find that with you?
right. So Becky, it sounds like Becky needs to the block is her rather than them. They probably,
Yes.
but the block is her, and the question is, Becky, what's blocking you from opening up? Whether it's a level of anxiety or some unresolved issues with family, or some things that you're going through. It's really time for self-reflection and analysis. Like, hey, what can you do to make sure that you are an open vessel, and you've resolved some of the issues that you've got in your life that may be blocking. But I agree that Becky would be blocking herself from receiving some impressions or images or
And
connect.
some people don't know they're doing it. Like, they're doing it and they don't know they're realizing they're doing it. And I've had people say, my son's been dead for 20 or 30 years. And yet everybody's having all these, dreams and visions and things going on with them. And I said, that's exactly what you're saying. I said, it's within you. When is the time when you're going to stop mourning? It's okay to mourn, but you got to start working on yourself and be more and and forgive and let go a little bit. It says, and I tell him, I go, it's okay to let go of the pain. It doesn't mean that you're letting go of him. You'll always have him, but you gotta work on yourself a little bit.
How long have you been psychic?
Is that for me?
It's not for
Oh, but
both of
you.
us. Let's do both of us.
I'll
Marley,
let you go first.
how long have I been psychic? I realize I've had some ability since I was very young. And of course, I wasn't trained early on, so I had to kind of go through life and figure out what's going on here, and then go on my own spiritual journey and development. So I think I've been sensitive and an empath all my life. I definitely know I have been. I just wasn't identified, so it's all my life. But it wasn't until I became an adult that I actually had proper training to understand how to kind of take that sensitivity and empathic energy and to use it for good rather than for being something that just makes me more anxious and more hyper or whatever. So it's I've had it all my life, but it's as an adult I've learned to understand it and then use it as a psychic and medium. How about you?
Yeah, I've had it my entire life. I've done readings on it. And my spirit guide told me I was chosen for this before I was born. That's what he told me, and I believe that.
Nice.
All these things that my mom would tell me, things in my childhood, to where I'm at now. It's for me, it's being psychic, having the psychic abilities. It's some people would say, "Oh, I would love to have what you had," and you can talk to anybody that's dead, and that's I still go to another good medium that I trust that wants to connect with the loved one. I know I'm connecting with my mom, but I'm not ready to do that. I'm human, if that makes sense. Some people are not ready right now. I mean, to connect with their loved ones, and that's where I'm at sometimes. But
Right.
I love it when I can help people. That's why it keeps me going.
Right. It's something that I didn't realize. Oh, this is truly a healing ministry that we're doing. We're helping others and we're helping ourselves too. We really are. We're fulfilling, that desire in us to be of value and to be helpful, and to be, worthy
Mhm.
of helping others. Let's see. Is my dad messing with my TV? Asked Toby. It will change, and I will say, change it back, and then it does. What do you think about that? Could her dad or spirit actually be working on changing the TV channels, or could it be her clicker is needing a new battery? What are your thoughts on that?
But like I said, we're the same. Like I'm also very skeptical. But when spirit
Me too.
tells me and validates that, hey, I like to mess with your TV. I'm the one messing with your lights. I'm the one leaving feathers or pennies laying around. and it validates to the reader, like, oh my God, I just found a penny, or on my kitchen table. I live alone. There's no way that would have happened. And, feathers come in my house. I don't have a bird. And, just certain things that they would know that I would not know. But yeah, spirit's always trying to find ways of communicating with you. You get people who are loud and, like to talk a lot. You're going to have people, they're probably going to be in the kitchen making a noise. You have, I find with the elderly people when they visit, they're not elderly in my vision, but like grandpa and grandmas, they like to be quiet. They don't do a lot. They stand around. They might leave pennies or something on the ground, but they usually just stand and watch. And I think that's just because of who their personality is before they cross over.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the ones that like the jokesters, and those are the ones with the lights. They like to hide things, and they're just always doing something in your house, and it's them.
Let's see. Toby says, I changed the batteries, LOL. So it's not the batteries. It's probably, yeah. Just say, I always say when things happen like that, acknowledge it. Just
Yes.
say, I get that you're changing the channels. If you don't know exactly who it is, if you think it's your dad, hey dad, I got it. Thank you. Acknowledge it and thank them when things happen like that you think
Yes.
it's a message from your loved one.
Because they miss us like we miss them, and they're just saying, if you're doing your hair, if you're a girl and you're doing your hair in the mirror, don't be surprised if something falls down in front of you. If you're like watching TV all the time, don't be surprised if they're messing with your TV or your cell phone. And that's just what they'll do. Whatever you have in front of you, they're going to get your attention.
And I would say acknowledge it and thank them, whether it's physical or if you just get a sense that your mom or your best friend is there. They don't have to necessarily make something happen physically, but you'll be able to sense it. And I say acknowledge it. Say, I feel you, mom. Good job. Thank you. Yeah, I love you, whatever. And that helps them in their ability to kind of like connect with this vibration or this energy here on Earth. So I say, yeah, just say, folks, when it happens, don't freak out, but acknowledge it and thank them. And and maybe they'll get better at doing it. Maybe they'll change it to the channels that you like. Let's see. Are we doing readings today? No, we're not doing readings today. We're learning all about,
mediumship. Yeah.
Mediumship and each other. Because Paul and I have never met formally, but I have seen him and I was very impressed. As a sensitive, we can pretty much pick up on people pretty quickly. That's a blessing and a curse all at once sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to just connect and talking and kind of understand how we do our different mediumship and you do psychic readings as well, don't you?
I do. It's when I do mine, I just usually connect with spirit guides, and mostly spirit guides. And I don't do fortune telling. I don't do future readings. That's just not where my path is, I guess. But when I do connect with the spirit guide, it's kind of like having a parent or a preacher coming through. And I'll tell people, they're going to tell you how it is. I don't beat around the bush. I don't sugarcoat nothing. So if they're going to tell you this way, it's not me, it's them. And you need to hear it this way so you understand.
It's a very pure way. It's certainly kind of like wisdom. It's amazing. It's like a channel of wisdom, of information. When I get that kind of energy, it's just like, wow. It's not like, oh, I loved you. You're my favorite. What I know. This is like, no BS. This is, a spiritual focus for you. This is what you need to focus on. Think about this, or this is why you're going. It's a different energy when I connect with that. That's for sure.
That is true.
Tell, as we wrap up here, I know people are just asking questions, ask connection, even over the phone connecting. He's awesome. So you've got a lot of fans out here.
Thank you.
Once they cross over, they are healed. Once they cross over, are they all healed from sicknesses? I was like, yeah, that's a physical thing.
I've seen, I've connected with people and I didn't know they were handicapped. And when I'm seeing them, I'm telling the reader, this person, they're standing up and they're wearing blah, 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 and they're smiling. And one time I saw one lady's kid grab these crutches and throw them out like the field. And that told me that he was okay. And I didn't know that. So it validated that. But I never see him handicapped. I never see him sick. I never see him with cancer. I've never seen him like die, how they died. To me, they're always like, even like the Bible talks about, everything gets renewed, everything's perfect up there. And that's how I see them. Once in a while, a grandparent will come to me, showing me what they look like as they're elderly, but majority of the time, it's how they are in the present up there in heaven.
Right. Sometimes they'll present themselves when they were young, were like, this is what I look like best when I was in my 30s. And like, I didn't know her when she was in her 30s. I'm like, okay, let me give her personality and who she
Mhm.
was and what things you did, because sometimes they'll present themselves in a way, like, oh yeah, they're very best when they were in their 30s or 40s. I have connected with somebody who has dementia, who is living and has dementia. Have you ever done that, where it's like you think like, that's my grandmother, and I've connected with her because their mind is kind of between the two worlds. Um, so I have connected with a woman who was, in the nursing home with dementia during COVID, and they couldn't go visit her. And I got the evidence and who this one. She was like, but she's still
Wow.
alive. And I was like, but I'm getting this confusion all. And so it was like, yes. And that's what happens when they're in dementia. They're going between the two, you know, between the two worlds.
Yeah, they're
And
ready to cross over.
yeah, they're ready to cross over, or their mind is not in the present, and they'll see so it was amazing. So I have connected with folks who have had dementia. Let's see here, folks. If you've just now joining us, when we end in just a few minutes, you can go back and watch it because it'll be recorded, and then you can see all the good stuff we talked about. Let's see here. Tell us some upcoming events and how people can find you.
Okay, so I do phone readings, so I always tell people I'm always months ahead. It's always been that with me. I can't control that.
Right.
So I am months ahead. If you want a one-on-one, like an in-person reading, one-on-one with me, in the Billings, Montana area, you would call Barzon's Books, and then they would schedule a time with you on Thursdays with me. I do I do radio readings on Thursdays at 10 a.m. to, I think it's at 10:30 a.m. to about 11:30 about 11:30 a.m. I think they pre-record it for later on. So that's my way of giving back. It's on the Bone FM in Billings. And then I do free readings on my page here on Sundays between 7 and 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
Oh, cool. Do you have any upcoming events other than your readings that you do?
I'm missing that. That's, one thing I miss so much about just traveling around Montana and doing events, like, meeting events and reading out like groups of people and meeting new people. When I go back to my hometown, I do a little bit of that, but it's just hard right now because I'm just waiting for this to slow down so I can start doing it again.
All right. So they can catch you on the radio, local radio, I guess, in around Billings, right?
Yeah.
And then they can do phone readings. They can get you. And which site do you want them to catch you on? Facebook, or do you have a website? Where do you want?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, MT Medium, on Facebook, MT Medium. And then if you like the page, you can always find me there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely check his page out. That's where I found him. I can be found, of course, on my Facebook page, Kevin Paul Psychic Medium. But I also have a website, kevinpaulpsychicmedium.com, and on there I have all these shows that I've done, interviews that I've done with people who've been on television, some of the paranormal investigations I've done around the world, whether it be at a POW camp in Vietnam or an ancient site in Cambodia. Really cool stuff. And I do like a video kind of review of it. My services there, I do psychic readings, mediumship readings, over the phone, not in person, because no one wants to come go places during these times. And I do love to train people in my Academy of Real Magic, which is one-on-one coaching. It's basically elementary school for psychics and mediums, and it's a great way of getting a good foundation and getting you started, and then you kind of move on, because everyone likes to go in different directions. But I like to give students a real good base and foundation. And of course, you can find me on Instagram. I'm a beekeeper, and so you'll see a lot of my beekeeping on Instagram, and I do some posts like I advertised us on Facebook and on Instagram, and Zoom. My Zoom channel, Kevin Paul Psychic Medium, on YouTube, and that's where I put all these shows right there on YouTube. So I'll put this on my YouTube channel and give it to you so you can put it on yours. And you've got a YouTube channel as well, don't you, Paul?
Oh, yes, I got a YouTube channel. It's MT Medium, and my Instagram is also MT Medium. So I'm on all three of them, and Facebook as well.
Same like me. Yours is like Montana, MT as in Montana, rather than mountain. Montana. Okay, cool. And yeah, same for me. We gotta keep content out there because we're here to educate and to help people through the work that we do.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Paul, for being
Thank you for
on
inviting
the
me.
show. It was a pleasure getting to know you and talking with you. And I know that I wish you the very best out there in Montana. You're doing great work, and I could tell once I saw your show, I thought I need to get
Thank
him
you.
on my show because he's a good person. So
Thanks. I appreciate it.
absolutely. So you take care,
You
and
too.
we'll see you all next week when I'm talking to a husband and wife team about energetic healing, and they possibly do. They say exorcisms if they need to. So
Oh, wow.
I know it'd be interesting to find out all about that. Kind of scary, fun stuff. So, but I do this a couple times a month on my show, and I love connecting with people. So thank you again, Paul. And
Thanks for inviting me.
absolutely, take care, folks. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.